Salibonani, greetings. My name is Zanele Dube. Ngiyalamukela ku the Girls Table podcast, where we talk about issues that affect us as young women in our communities. Namhlanje bengithanda ubana sikhulume ngendaba ye-drought. Lapho sihlangana lama-food distribution programs esihlangana lawo esigabeni, bhithi ezikolweni, ubana siphatheka kanjani ngakho konke okwenzakalayo. Lalokhu kudla okufikayo kufinyelela kuye umuntu na, kumbe bakhona abakhethwayo bakhona abangakhethwayo, kwenziwa njani esigabeni. Umbuzo wami wokuqala uthi wona, have you and your family received any food assistance in your area during this drought? If so, what has been your experience with that support? Ngiyakwamukela sisi Sinqobile, nangu umbuzo engibuza wona, ngicela usichazele kabanzi.
Yebo sisi, thina ukudla sikutholile njalo kusisizile kakhulu, labanye laba bakutholile kubasizile kakhulu ezimpilweni zethu.
Ngiyakuzwa sisi Sinqobile. My question is there transparency in the registration process of food assistance in your community? Ngicela ungichazele lapho ubana ekurejistweni kwabantu kusuka kuhambiswe njani, ngendlela esegcekeni yini, kumbe kukhona okunye okusuka kwenziwe okwenza abanye bangatholi mhlawumbe abanye bathole.
Inkinga isuka ibe khona laphana, sithi nxa sirejista laphana sigcine sithi sirejista lapha kusuke kube khona labana bathi nxa berejiste ngokuthandana, abanye ukuthi ubani ngiyamzonda, abanye ukuthi mina ngikhaya sihlala sibangaki, evalela abanye abadinga usizo lokuthi bethole ukudla ngendlela eyabe ifikile, kodwa begcine bangasatholanga abanye usizo ngendlela zokuthi basebevalelwe ngalabana abanye babesithi uzibani siyamzonda, uzibani siyamthanda, begcine basamfaka yena nguye umuntu odinga usizo kudlula bona.
Okay, ngoba simzwile usisi Sinqobile lapha ukuthi yena ukuchaza kabanzi ukubana kusuke kube le favoritism ekukhethaneni laphana kuma registration. So umbuzo wami uzasuka lapha. Siyabonga kakhulu Sinqobile ngokuba nathi namhlanje ukubana usivule ulwazi ngalokho okwenzakala esigabeni sakini. Ngithanda ukwethula isikhulumi sethu esobe sinaso namhlanje lapha ku program yethu. Mr. Effie Ncube, a police analyst, can you please explain the criteria used for selecting beneficiaries in this food distribution programs, and how is it ensured that these criteria are fair and reach the most vulnerable in the community? Kufinyelela njani kiwo wonke umuntu esigabeni, especially laba abaludinga kakhulu usizo?
Indlela okwenziwa ngakhona ukuthi izakhamizi ziyahlanganiswa emhlanganweni. When they gather, they are supposed to assess abantu ukuthi ubani ufanele abeselistini yokudla, ubani kafanelanga kanjalo. So yilokho kuthiwa yi-community assessment. Inkinga esihlangana layo kuso sonke isikhathi ukuthi nxa usufika ukhangela abantu abazuza ukudla labantu abangazuza ukudla, uzathola ukuthi abantu abazuza ukudla ngabantu abangafanelanga bakuzuza abanye babo. Bangene ngokuba beseqenjini elithile lezombusazwe, kumbe bangene ngokuba bengabangani balaba kade beqhamba, bangene mhlambe ngokunye kumbe bakhonza bonke ebandleni linye lezokholo, kumbe ndlela thizeni bayizihlobo. Ngakho ke ubusuthola futhi ukuthi laba baseleyo basele ngoba baswele umuntu ongabaqamba, kodwa bona bedinga ukudla. Ngakho ke iprocess yakhona is not completely fair, is not foolproof, ilama weaknesses wona lawo. Kuyadingeka ke ukuthi in addition to i-community assessment, of course the voice of the community is very important, but it cannot and should not be the ultimate voice, the only voice ku-assessment enjengaleyo, given human fallibilities, ukuthi abantu bayakwazi ukugcina bekhethana ngobuhlobo, bekhethana ngamaphathi abakuwo, bekhethana ngokokholwa abakulo, lezinto ezinjengaleziyana leziyana. Ngakho ke kuyadingeka ukuthi kube le independent assessment in addition to i-community assessment. Bring in leaders, bring in traditional leaders, labo benze i-assessment yabo ehambisana lokuthi bavumelana kumbe bavumelana, bakhangele people that may be left out. Kanti ke kuyadinga futhi to bring in inhlanganiso ezizimeleyo, the non-state actors, ukuthi zizokhangela zenze an independent assessment, zibone ukuthi indlela esetshenzisiweyo kayichiyanga yini abantu abebefanele ukuthi bathole ukudla, iyathatha abantu abangafanelanga ukuthi bathole ukudla, ibisi basibebhala i-report. So you need, at least in my view, ama-report angu-3 ukuze kuthiwe khona hayi lokhu kufanele. Eye community yona ngokwayo to assess, traditional leaders layo to assess, then independent non-state actors to assess. Ngaleyo ndlela kuzaba ngcono, kuzavimbela ingozi esizibonayo zokuthi abantu abatholi ukudla ngendlela efaneleyo, bagcine belamba, abanye bagcine besifa, bebulawa yindlala nje abantu, kumbe imikhuhlane ephathelene lendlala. Ngakho-ke kuyadingeka ukuthi kulungiswe lokho. Kukhona kathesi i-community assessment, ukhangelwa izakhamizi, zitsho ukuthi uyangena kumbe ungena, kodwa kakukho full proof, akukho perfect.
Ngiyazwisisa Baba Ncube. Umbuzo wami ubusithi wona, what mechanism are in place to promote transparency in the distribution of food aid during this drought?
There are no effective mechanisms to ensure transparency, integrity, and accountability in the food distribution processes. Ngendlela yona lesikuyo, okukhona khathesi is very weak, it's not effective, it's not efficient. It depends on an uncoordinated number of activities that are meant to ensure that there is transparency, but the bodies that are working on that one are not working ngendlela harmonious. Uthola ukuthi the first party community efanele ensure that there is that transparency. Then you have traditional leaders, you have political leaders, you have other leaders ababuya khonapha, the social development, lebe sithi social welfare department, layo ile role to play khona lapha. And then you have INGOs, international non-governmental organizations. Sometimes they are there. Sometimes you do have here and there some NGOs eziyabe zikhangele, but they are very few, they are not best there. Amaningi ayabuya phuma hambe achiye kunjalo. So what is needed is to strengthen first and foremost the community, so that it is a stronger voice of anti-corruption, of integrity, of accountability and transparency. We need to educate, to raise awareness ebantwini on the ground, on the dangers of corruption, on the livelihoods zabantu. And in so doing, also provide the communities with mechanisms to ensure that they can report on acts of corruption, where food is distributed to undeserving beneficiaries and those that are deserving are left out, where food is distributed to party friends, to social friends, to our relatives, family members, girlfriends, boyfriends, and so forth, like we are doing, where abanye abantu bahola ukudla kaningi abanye bengakakutholi, because kungela process of preventing that. We need also to strengthen the role of traditional leaders as agents of change against corruption, against unfair distribution of food. We also need to strengthen governmental mechanisms to ensure that there is effective monitoring of food distribution. Or khathesi as we speak, that is not there. What is there is weak and not working as effective as one would have wanted. So there is a lot of work that is needed on the ground to ensure that deserving beneficiaries do get the food, because wakhathesi abantu abaningi bayasala bengatholanga ukudla, because the mechanisms that are supposed to ensure that that does not happen are not working ngendlela efanele.
Ngiyazwisisa konke. So now ngifuna ukuzwisisa kahle ukuthi indabeni isiphala senkosi lapha, how do you assess the effectiveness of programs like isiphala senkosi and emergency school feeding in addressing hunger?
School feeding program worldwide is judged to be one of the most effective ways of ensuring ukuthi abantwana bayaya esikolo, promoting access to education. So that because it motivates umntwana to go esikolo instead of ukuthi ahlale, ngoba uyakwazi ukuthi esikolo safika sidle kanjalo. It is been found to be working. But also in addition to that, unanzelela ukuthi nxa abantwana bephiwa ukudla esikolo kuyabancedisa i-concentration, kuyabancedisa i-pass rate, kuyancedisa to improve the quality of learning, ngokuba umntwana usesimeni sokuthi usuthi kanjalo. So that is very, very effective, and it has been very effective even in Zimbabwe over years. The only challenge ekhona ukuthi i-school feeding program mostly kulethwa impuphu kanjalo. kungela sitshebo kungikhona kuhlupha ukuthi izakhamizi azitshaye imali yesitshebo kuhluphe abanye kabalayo imali and so forth. So we need a more holistic approach ezakwenza ukuthi i-school feeding program silethe all that you need to be in place ukwenzela ukuthi kuphela kuprepare abantwana badle, and that's very important. Secondly, we need to eradicate corruption even there. There are leakages kulokudla okulahlekayo from izikolo kanjani. So it's important to work on that one as well so that it is effective okwedlula lokhu okwenzakalayo. When it comes to isiphala senkosi is supposed to work ngendlela enkulu, but kathesi kakukasebenzi lakho ngendlela efaneleyo. Yebo kambe ukudla kufikela ezinduneni zikudlulisele ebantwini. Izinduna have proved very effective also in terms of distribution yokudla kanjalo, particularly if they do not bring political affiliation into the processes of distribute ukudla. So isiphala senkosi is weaker kathesi because akula kudla esiphaleni sona leso. Okudingakala is to ensure that we build the grain reserves, the food reserves at the chieftainship level. Kungabi se GMB khatshana le, kube khona laphana, kube le storage ko chief esenza ukuthi ukudla kuhlale kube protected, kube le accountability and so forth ngendlela efanele, so that whenever there is hunger ukudla kuseduzane ukuthi kufinyelele ebantwini. So the question is, how effective is isiphala senkosi, the emergency school feeding program in addressing hunger? Impendulo ukuthi khathesi kakukabi as effective as one would expect it to be. Kumele kusetshenzwe to improve its effectiveness.
Ngiyazwisisa kakhulu especially endabeni yesiphala senkosi ukubana ihamba kabanzi le ndaba esiphala senkosi ukuze phela ikwazi ukusiza abantu abadubekileyo njalo abaludingayo usizo ngenxa yokuba izulu singalitholanga kulomnyaka odlulileyo. Lokhu kuchiya abantu abaningi besezisizini ngenxa yokuthi abaningi baphila ngokulima, mabengasalimanga kuba nzima ukubana bathole ukuzincedisa lokuziphilisa. From me, your host Zanele Dube and the Girls Table, lisale kahle, ngiyabonga. Bye.
This project was made possible through a partnership between USAID Zimbabwe and ZimCord. The podcast is made possible by the generous support of the American people through United States Agency for International Development Zimbabwe. The contents are the responsibility of the Girls Table and do not necessarily reflect the views of USAID or the United States government.